not a game, it's a rich thing.
Cooper Kupp, the former Triple Crown winner, former All-Pro receiver, who had 1,947 yards in 2021 with 16 touchdowns and was a beast in the Super Bowl, is on the move and is heading to his former division rival, the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are an interesting team who have been making a ton of moves this offseason, most notably at the quarterback position, trading Geno Smith, and then they traded DK Metcalf as well, opening up some holes at those positions. They ultimately decided to go Sam Darnold at quarterback, but at receiver, they're going with the veteran Cooper Kupp. Now, Kupp comes with a lot of controversy at this point in his career. He's 31 years old. In the last 3 years, he has never topped 800 receiving yards and has never topped 12 games as well. And then last year, we saw his separation score as a receiver drop to bottom 30 among all qualified receivers last year. I think it's safe to say that Cooper Kupp is not the same player he once was in 2021, but he still could be a viable asset for the Seattle Seahawks this upcoming season. Let's dive right into the film and see why Cooper Kupp could have a potential impact or could cause some problems for the Seattle Seahawks offense. Here's a play where Cooper Kupp still showcased his elite route running ability. Kupp is going to be lined up in the slot right here. We're going to talk about his positioning in an offense and why it could be a concern for Seattle here in a moment. But let's talk about one of the highlights that Cooper Kupp has. He's ultimately going to get a one-on-one with a safety back here at the 40-yard line, resulting in a big play for the Los Angeles Rams offense. We're going to play this through real quick, let you guys watch Cooper Kupp cook on this one. He's going to fake out, go up for a deep post. Just Stafford hits him right in stride. Kupp is going to go all the way to the house for I think it was 65-yard touchdown on this play. This is where Cooper Kupp still has a little bit left in him between kind of just going and being a veteran, savvy route runner. I mean, he has a safety who is playing outside shoulder over here, and then Kupp is going to be working this way. Just gives a little hezzy, and then he has enough right there to work in space, and Stafford's just going to hit him right there in stride, ultimately resulting in a big play. Here, bang, right there. And it doesn't even have to be, I mean, the separation isn't even great here, but it's just enough to where a quarterback can throw this ball and get it out there. Darnold ranked number 1 in the NFL in terms of deep passing yards. If Kupp has plays like this where he can still take advantage of safeties on him potentially in coverage, he should be able to make some big splash plays down the field. Not only is this play a great play by Matthew Stafford, but Cooper Kupp also runs a great route. He's over here, down here, working at the 10, cutting in. Kupp's going to try to find his way in the end zone, ultimately find some space, catching a big touchdown when the Rams are desperately needing some momentum here in the middle of the season. Okay, so Kupp right here, obviously we know he's in the slot. Okay, he's going to do a very nice out and up route where he ultimately finds space against zone coverage. I truly think that Kupp still has a lot of viability in zone coverage, finding space. And you guys can see on this play where he goes through and is able to find space in the zone coverage. Let's break this out frame by frame here. Right here, right, he is the main target. This concept right here of a slant, and then you have an out, right? These are the main targets for Stafford. He's looking right at them right now. The Vikings play this pretty good. If Stafford is able to throw it across the field like this, he has a chance, but ultimately Stafford is flushed out of the pocket, and that play is not open. What Kupp does is what every veteran receiver should do and understand at this point in their career is to find soft spots in the zone and make it easier for their quarterback. Darnold, a lot of the time, likes to improvise in the pocket. It might cause harm at times, but he is a solid improviser and moves around enough to give his wide receivers chances to get open down the field. If Kupp works like he does here, finds the soft spot right here, gets the defender turned around, he has all this open room because Harrison Smith has to guard here. Stafford ultimately picks him, and he's going to find his way into the end zone for an easy touchdown because Kupp keeps working through the play. Here's another play that lets Kupp play into his strengths as a player at this point in his career. He is able to push down the field, and a lot of the time you'll watch on tape, Kupp is very good in this range down the field just because He understands kind of where to place his seams and find nice spots within a zone. This is basically a counter to what he's going to do. I'll play this through at this point. He's going to counter the seam up the middle, find his way for a nice out route and get a nice chunk gain, and ultimately kind of break down the defender just based on tape right here. So a lot of the time the Rams run that concept, pushing Kupp deep. Stafford knows he's going to have his boy open over here because they have that chemistry. Kupp is just going to turn, I think it's Terrion Arnold's hips right around at that point right there. Break it down, run over here. What's so good about Cooper Kupp is he just understands in zone coverage where people are supposed to be aligned, where they are not supposed to be, and he's ultimately able to take advantage of these, and this is why he continues to find himself open on not necessarily man beaters or stuff like that, but he's able to find himself open on zone coverage beaters because he's a very savvy veteran player who's done it many times in this league. As I've mentioned before, Kupp did sign a 3-year deal, so he is part of the long-term plans in Seattle for a receiving option. Now, what concerns me is fellow star wide receiver JSN ranked first in slot snaps last season while having an average depth of target of 8.7, which ranked 79th in the NFL. He was an underneath monster last year for the Seattle Seahawks. He was 4th in the NFL in EPA. He also was an absolute stud in terms of route wins. He was 2nd in the NFL in total route wins, so very successful from the position. And then you have Cooper Kupp, who was 15th in the NFL last season in terms of slot snaps, and that's despite missing multiple games due to injury. He had an average depth of target of 7.6, which was 90th in the NFL. And then Kupp, on the other hand, in route win rate versus man, which we'll get into in the film, was 70th in the NFL. Not ideal by any means. And this is why I'm a little concerned about this. Clint Kubiak is going to have a decision what he's going to do with JSN, who has been a slot receiver since being in the NFL, and Cooper Kupp, who has only been a slot receiver in his career, and Kupp doesn't have the mold to play on the outside, which is concerning. He doesn't separate well in man coverage. He's not a big-bodied receiver that can go up over the top and catch balls, so it's definitely interesting. Let's get into the film and break down kind of Cooper Kupp's struggles against man coverage. As I just mentioned, I do have concerns with Kupp's fit in Seattle and ultimately his separation rates. This is a great example of him in man coverage against a younger player like Cooper DeJean, who just kind of bullies him at the line of scrimmage, bullies him within the 5-yard range where you can, basically play a little bit tougher of defense as a cornerback, and Kupp's just not able to separate like he once did. Take a look. I'll play this through for you guys real quick. Cooper DeJean presses him right there. DeJean has him right there, and it looks like at this point right here that DeJean's holding him. What happens? Kupp just is not able to break off this at all. He gets there, through there, nothing. Cooper DeJean is just able to bully him basically within that 5-yard range, and then Kupp's not able to get off the line and make a play. And far too often you guys see this on tape where Kupp is getting absolutely mauled within 5 yards and not able to do anything about it. Here is another example of Kupp in man coverage. He's going to be at the top of the screen right here. Just no separation at all in man. It's just not great. And this is, like I said, he's on the outside here, right? During his time in Los Angeles, you would rarely see Cooper Kupp on the outside. He would be playing in the slot as he's ranked in the top 15. I think it was 5 out of 7 years in his career in terms of slot snaps. And his best year was when he was ranked first in the NFL in slot snaps. You're going to look at basically this route, and it's just not going to be impressive at all. It looks like Spencer James from whatever that show is and the meme, right? He's just running up the field. There's absolutely no quick cut separations, and Travarius Ward just locks him up. I mean, at this point right here, right, Kupp moves so slow to push up the field that Ward has a chance to jump this route going this way, right? You see a lot of receivers able to use their burst and their quickness to be able to get open. Kupp doesn't have that type of explosion as a route runner. It's not like he has the size to go up and go get a ball over to defender either. So that's why I'm a little concerned about him in terms of playing against man coverage and on the outside. Ultimately, for the Seattle Seahawks, they do add, yes, a former All-Pro receiver who has put up decent numbers when he's on the field over the last few seasons, despite not reaching near the levels of his 2021 campaign. Cooper Kupp brings a veteran type of receiver, very good in zone coverage and finding space, which ultimately bodes well with Sam Darnold's abilities to improvise and try to make plays outside of the pocket or when a play breaks down in protection. What Cooper Kupp doesn't bring at this point of his career is separation. He is one of the worst in the NFL as of late in terms of separation, and he also ranks 70th in the NFL in terms of route win rate versus man coverage. The other concern for me is that him and JSN both play in the slot together. I think JSN has no business moving on the outside. He was great in the slot for the Seahawks this last year, but ultimately bringing Kupp in is definitely going to cause some interesting concerns with both players having to play more on the outside this next season. I truly think that for 3 years, $45 million, I probably would have rather taken a flyer on a guy like Amari Cooper or another outside receiver instead of going and paying a guy like Cooper Kupp, a slot receiver, which I already had in my star receiver in JSN. Ultimately, though, the Seahawks do add that veteran presence that they needed when they lost DK Metcalf at receiver and are trying to put the best talent around Sam Darnold that they can this season. Ultimately, though, what do you guys think? Was this a good or bad move by the Seattle Seahawks? What should they be looking to add this offseason? If you're interested to check out more free agent breakdowns, we broke down why the Broncos are such a great team and attacking the needs of their defense and at the tight end in free agency. Ultimately, though, I really appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. For those of you guys that made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and I will catch you guys next time.